episode is brought to you by CalTIF Investments and Consultants. So anything to do with investing into new construction properties, they definitely could provide that service, as well as if you're looking for rental properties, they definitely could be able to consult you and provide you with the proper service needed for rentals as well. What's going on, guys? Your boy Sadiq. Welcome to the network. You guys know what it is, where we connect like-minded individuals and have them share their stories, where they've been, what they've been through, their lows, their success, all that good stuff. You know what? It's a group or system of interconnected individuals, and that's what we're here for. And today on this platform, on the network podcast, we have two lovely couples, married to two. All right, Jaston or Jaston?
Jaston.
Listen,
he said it and he knew it.
I was like,
it's a curveball. No worries, brother. No worries.
And Alexia, right?
Yes, sir. I was gonna.
Listen, I wasn't trying to get smacked by her.
Yeah.
So sure
Yep.
I said her name right? Because you know the ladies, the ladies, they keep everything tight. So I gotta make sure I came correct with her.
Yeah.
But today I have two lovely couples, like I mentioned, and today they're going to actually share their story in terms of where their background, where they came from, to where they're at, their failures, the success, all the shenanigans. You guys already know how this podcast rolls, and we're just going to get right into it. I really came across these individuals on Instagram when I was just strolling through, trying to find unique people that actually could bring people value, that you guys could learn from, or maybe just have an interest in. And when I saw the title, Married to Two, I'm like, what's this about? And I dived in. I'm like, so Jaston. I'm like, all right, he does real estate. Then I started digging deeper. Oh, him and his wife. Oh, what? This works great. Let's get popping. These two couple could actually tell a story, what it's like working with each other, because there is that saying that most people don't really feel like when doing business with their partner is actually like good. You know what I mean? Like it could be a negative thing for most people, but they found a way to actually make it work. And we're going to talk about how for those individuals that are a couple who wants to partner up and do something together, how they can actually make it work for themselves from the lens of the two individuals. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Network Podcast. Thank you. Let's get started. Introduce yourself. Talk to the people. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
First.
So, hey, first of all, Sadiq, I appreciate you inviting us to be here. This is a great experience. Alexia and I are really honored to really be on the platform and to be invited here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Likewise. Yeah. I love the authentic space you've created. As you mentioned, my name's Alexia. Yeah. And
listen, she was good. Listen, I had to make sure that was right.
Locked in.
Yeah. Jaston and I, we've been together for 6 years now. So
congratulations.
One small correction I will have to correct you on.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to get it straight. We're not married.
Nah.
Yeah.
But you guys are a couple.
But we are a couple.
100%.
That's what and you guys do partner up on business together.
Correct.
100%.
So let's get right into it.
We just haven't got to that layer just yet of actual marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when you got something real, when you got something authentic, it's just a title at that point.
Yeah.
We treat it like we are married. So, we are definitely aligned with that in a lot of things. And funny story, like when we bought our first house, I was way more willing to buy a house with her than I was having to move in with her.
Right. Like, how does that work?
I was way more terrified in like moving in with her, but I knew she had my back when it came to investments. I knew that she had my back when it came to business, and I was honestly terrified, but it ended up working out. It was perfect.
That's scary.
You probably trust your business savvy more than anything. There's nothing wrong with that. He probably like, you know what?
Yeah.
She's business savvy, smart. She knows her stuff. She moves and operates on some ill shit. So like, you really he probably felt like that. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no,
and
the utmost confidence.
yeah, no, I mean, he had that confidence in you. You know what I mean? Like you came in there demanding things. Like I'm like, okay, like
Don't tell the people.
you really can, so I can see what Jaston's going through. I'm like, all right, I can see why he wants to partner up with you because, like, at the end of the day, like you have that confidence. And there's nothing wrong with that. So that's dope.
Thank you.
Shout outs for you guys.
I appreciate it.
In regards to that. Did you guys ever both believe that real estate investment was a possibility, or did one of you had doubt?
Honestly, neither of us had doubt.
She didn't say that. She started Googling. You guys like, all right, you know what? This is what it is.
We were just like, bet, like, let's do this.
Yeah,
like,
we were charged up for it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I don't know what gave us the energy, like the balls, like for lack of a better term, right? But like, I don't know why. We were just like, let's just do it and figure it out as we go along. Yeah. My dad's an entrepreneur. He owns his own business. He has for over 20 years. So I've always naturally been surrounded by bosses. Yeah. So I think that gave us the confidence.
Bosses. You guys
bosses.
Love that.
She said bosses.
Bosses.
Yeah, she really bosses.
I emphasize that.
She emphasized it. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to look for. But like, nah, that's dope. It's dope because like for you guys to be able to collectively, right? Yeah. To agree on something and like not even turn back and like, this is what it is. This is what we both should do. And you both actually agree on it without a second thought in mind or second guessing the other's thought on it. Like that's dope, you know, because sometimes you'll have one like, do you think we'll be able to do it? Do you think we have it right now? Can we wait this and that? And I think like sometimes for me, if you have somebody who actually, and there's nothing wrong with somebody giving you some form of clear picture if something is worth doing now or later. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I do appreciate is when both individuals collectively could be like, nah, we're doing this. And there's no ifs, there's no nothing. That's fine. That's
honestly, like when I tell you, like we were so locked in. It was remarkable, and it, as I mentioned, it circles back to like that first foundation. Like from day one, since we met each other, we felt like we lived lifetimes together because of like that previous like experience. Like she was literally my cheerleader for like years, right? So and we knew all the same people. So once we connected and actually started talking, actually started dating. It was like we hit the ground running and we just built this really strong connection. Like we were probably dating for like 4 months and I had I had this pre-planned trip. So again, it was my sophomore year. I did a pre-med degree and she did a marketing degree at URI. So I went through a really tough semester. I was doing like organic chemistry. I was in the weeds, man. I was like, all right, as a reward to myself, I'm going to go to Europe and I'm going to enjoy myself out there for a few weeks. And I booked a solo trip by myself. After meeting this one for 3 months, she literally invited herself and I was just like, I was like, bet. And it gets even crazier. So we literally like, I tell everybody the story. We fell in love in Barcelona, like on a beach at like 4 a.m. We watched the sunrise come up. And we're getting like into it. We're sitting there like just sharing kind of all these deep feelings, and I've never had a connection like that with somebody.
Marriage coming soon. Yeah, I'm dropping that right now. But keep going.
Yeah, so that was like that was like 6 years ago, and it's crazy because after that moment, I knew I wanted to be with her, and then we didn't actually start dating until like a few months after that.
Damn.
Yes.
She still made you wait.
No, I made her wait.
Get on it! Get on it!
Whoa.
Well,
no, I low-key had to give him like an ultimatum.
Why? This is not ultimate. This is not the show on Netflix.
That show sucks. That show sucks. Do you like Love Island, Sadiq?
Oh,
I like no, I don't. I like Love Is Blind.
Oh, okay. Love Is Blind's okay. It's okay, but I'll get you onto Love Island. But that's another podcast for another day. Because I was like, I think this is my theory.
Here we go.
I think that he was scared of the feelings that he was feeling. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Oh man.
This woman get deep on, like women always gotta go deep on us, but go ahead, shoot. Nah, that's real talk.
Well, we were acting like literally we were acting like we were married, and I'm like, all right, well, we're not even in a relationship, so like, what's the deal? You know what I mean? That was the ultimatum at the end of the day. I was like,
nah, she basically was just like, what are we doing here? And I was like, nah, you're right. I was like, I'm bullshitting.
Locking in.
Yeah,
I'm bullshitting.
He's like, I bet you want to be my girlfriend that same second. Yeah, I was like,
nah, it was like an hour later. I was like, nah, you're right. My fault. My bad.
you got corrected real quick. It's either you want this or you don't want it. We gotta figure this out.
What's good?
That was good. That's
yeah.
So
but
crazy.
On a serious note, I've always appreciated Alexia's like straightforwardness, because it honestly even sometimes when I don't want to hear it, it honestly makes it very easy to know where somebody stands when they actually communicate how they're feeling. And to kind of circle back around, like, that again leads into why we have a solid foundation. We say it all the time. It's like, which person are we talking to? Like, oh, you're talking to business Jaston right now. Like, we literally say that out loud. Or, hey, you're talking to Alexia, like business Alexia right now, or you're talking to girlfriend Alexia. Because it's crazy because sometimes the lines get blurred, and like it's very easy to like deal with a conflict that can be on the relationship side, and it could bleed into business or vice versa. So I've always appreciated her open communication and her honesty, and it makes it easy. It makes it easy to work with somebody like that.
I was talking to my guy Terrell on the platform, Mr. Deep Pockets, and he's been married for 23 years.
Wow.
23 years.
That's
and
beautiful.
he's about my age. I went to school together. And he talks about the same thing you're just talking about. He was talking about the importance of how his wife is important to him. I understand you guys are not married, but you value her input. Tremendous. Like, he valued his wife's input tremendously, and whatever she says, but how she helps guide him to become somebody, to him is very important. Like, just listen to you speak on that notion in regards to, I'm going to use the term wifey. We all know, we grew up on the street, we know what wifey means. It's not technically mean that you're married, but your lady, and like how you actually respect and admire her, and like just breathe life into what she does for you. I think that's dope, right? And I think, like, at the end of the day, like, especially to make a business work and bringing it together, like, you need someone who you could trust, and for you to talk like that about her, that's amazing. Who or what introduced you guys to the world of real estate? How did you, besides Googling this is what you want to do and stuff like that, but did you guys have family members that you guys saw? Did you guys work with a real estate company? Like, how
so it was kind of a cool journey. So we, minus Alexia having the insight from her father, like the entrepreneur side of things, we both don't have people that are like heavy into real estate. Like, we have aunties and uncles that own house, like one or something like that. But a lot of what pushed us to even make that Google search was actually an MLM that we tried out before we even started a business.
What's an MLM?
Multi-level marketing.
All right.
So like, like Tupperware and stuff like that. So we tried that space, and it was us coming out of college. We tried it, we tasted it. We didn't like the space, but the lessons we learned from that platform and like that type of business, priceless.
Nice.
It put us on to even the term residual income or passive income, right? That's all we really needed. So we took all the good things and all the great lessons out of that experience, and then we put it into, and it just happened to be real estate.
Nice.
It just happened to be real estate. When we made that Google search, I think like stocks came up, royalties came up, and it was like real estate. I was like, well, we can't sing, right? I was like, I got no interest in learning about the stock market. And like, it literally was just real estate.
It literally was like closing our eyes and being like boom.
That, yeah. So like, that's how it started. And then we just got to work. We treated it literally like a college course, because at that point we were fresh out of college. We sat down on a Starbucks or a Panera Bread like 3 times a week, put in 2-3 hours. We started with vocabulary.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what a mortgage is. This is what, I don't know what foreclosure is. Like we started at the foundation of it.
Yeah.
Progress forward into bigger concepts. Bigger pockets played a big part in that. You know, us kind of learning off from that,
Bigger
right? Because
pockets big for a lot of people that's into real estate.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a great space just to learn and and just to consume knowledge. And then it got to a point where honestly, you know, in COVID, in the middle of COVID, we purchased our first house, which is a house hack, right? So we bought an FHA, first time home buyer, and all that. But all the knowledge we had, we still didn't have anything to push us and go for it. So what made us do that push was actually me becoming homeless. So I was a CNA throughout the pandemic. At that point, we both graduated. It was like at points in time, I was taking care of like 30, 40 people. I was working 60, 70 hours between like a nursing home and the hospital job I was at. It was like a super stressful time. And then on top of that, we were like, we're gonna just buy a house. So I was homeless for about like 6 months. And like I was like you know, couch surfing. Like I was literally like in the weeds. Like I was really figuring it out. Thank God at the time, Amex and shout out to Amex, Amex and the Hilton actually donated about $1 million hotel nights towards frontline associates. So I like proved that I worked at a hospital, and I was staying in like the bougiest hotel for the last like 3 months. So it was like like the energy from the universe was just like giving it to me. And then that's honestly what pushed us to buy our first house.
I love stories like that, because that's what the network is all about. It's all about the story that individuals went through or gone through to be able to get to that other end. You know, it's that journey that carries you through. And just to hear that aspect of the story, like, you know, there are individuals out there that might be going through the same thing, but need some form of reassurance that if you work through it and just trust the process, trust the universe, things will be all right. But at the end of the day, I feel like you really need to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and then not only do you believe in, you have to believe in yourself, you also have somebody, Alexia, to be able to also support you, and both of you guys actually support each other to see you guys at the end. And I think that's dope. Where did the name Marry the Two come from, Alexia? How did that name come about?
That's my favorite question, because I think a lot of people kind of like assume, right, that we're married, and it has something to do along the terms of that.
That's why I actually thought.
And you know what? I understand it. I get it, right? But I think when we explain it, it makes a lot of sense. It really comes from the idea of marrying our relationship with our business, and how we marry the two and how we make the two mesh. It's actually Jaston's idea.
Hey.
I'll give him the credit for that. But same thing like you were telling me earlier, how you came up with the network. We literally just sat down and we're like, listen, we have so much value to add to our community. We want to create an Instagram. Okay, cool. Like, what does that look like? What's the story do we want to tell? I think first and foremost, it's the first question you asked us: how do we, you know, marry our relationship and our business, and how do we make that work? Because at the end of the day, if our relationship isn't good and we're not solid, nothing else matters. Nothing else is going to work.
100%.
So we have to put ourselves first, and so that's how that came about.
No, that's dope.
Yeah.
Could you guys describe the process you both follow to assign roles and tasks, so just to avoid any or prevent any conflicts among both of you guys?
So we did this like really early on, and we just honestly took it to the basics and was like, well, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses, and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
SWOTs.
Yeah. So essentially my strengths is I'm really like methodical. I like processes. I'm very good at like seeing a vision, but knowing how to get to that vision, knowing the steps in between.
All right.
I'm really organized. So naturally it made sense for me to kind of be like the property manager, as well as like the processes person. So I organize all of our finances, things like that. For Jaston, he's more willing to really just figure things out and get his hands down and dirty.
Nice.
So for him, he does a lot of our repairs in our buildings. He's done a lot of our rehabs, but he's also great at networking. He just has something so authentic about him. And his like, genuine care and love for individuals has really allowed us to create such insane relationships with people across, like, and be in rooms that we have no business being in rooms in. So I truly like tip my hat. Yeah, I truly tip my hat to Jaston, because, you know, I'm great at making relationships as well, but he is so authentic about it. So I think that's kind of like how we decided our roles and responsibilities were going to be split.
That's amazing, because I think, like, for the most part, to be able to like divide the roles between both is something that a lot of people, there's power conflicts, right?
Oh yeah.
Tremendous, especially when you have two individuals that strong-minded. You know, it could create like a division, you know. But for you guys to, before in the beginning, to be able to especially knowing that you guys are going to dive into business together, you guys were capable of splitting that down the middle, and understanding what your SWOTs are, which is strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and all that. And like, you guys, but on a personal level, not on a business level, right? On a personal level, and you guys, for you guys to be able to define your strength and individual, your weaknesses with an individual, where your opportunities are within the business field, the threats that you guys face, and so forth. Like, just to break that down in the beginning, I think it's hard for most people, you know, and you guys pulled it off.
Yeah, so I think in the beginning, with just us, we knew that we were building a business. We knew that this was going to be, we essentially, from day one, we're like, we're building a 40-30 year business. So we had that in mind, like, since day one.
So you guys have a vision for the long term.
Yeah. So we
knew, there's a 30, 40 year.
No, we knew that we needed to have clear rules. We knew that we had to start keeping track of expenses, income, and all that. We knew that it's going to have to require us to keep learning. It's going to have to require us to be in hard positions, not only with ourselves, but with the people around us that we, you know, that we're going to be working with, right? Contractors, tenants. Like, we knew that we were going to go into this, like, and experience all that. So from day one, Alexia and I really had to lay that expectation between her and I. We literally, it's so funny to say this, but before we bought our first house, Alexia and I signed a contract with each other.
No, we really did.
Get out of here.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Alexia and I signed a contract.
That's how you know it's authentic.
Yeah. Alexia and I signed a contract saying that basically, and the crazy thing about it was, like,
neither of us got mad.
No, neither of us got mad. Like, I'll jump into what the contract said in a sec, but so just to kind of give a little more insight, so we bought the first house in my name on my pre-approval from the hospital. I was getting paid $16 an hour. We bought a house at the top of my pre-approval. Like, literally, if they asked for $1,000 more, like, I couldn't do it. So, but Alexia, she brought the reserve money to the deal. So, like, I had, like, you know, like $3,000-$4,000 saved up, whatever, but I didn't have enough to, like, make it work. So I went to Alexia. Instead of me, like, scraping and crawling to, like, make it happen by myself, I was like, Alexia, let's do this together. Let's figure this out together. And that contract basically said, hey, if we don't buy another house in, like, a year, like,
it's null and void.
It's null and void.
Yeah.
So the contract basically said, like, Jaston and Alexia are in X property together, 50-50 down the line.
Yeah.
If we don't buy another house within a year, I think it was a year.
It was like a year or two, because the plan was for her to buy one in her name.
Correct.
Right? So I was like, well,
that's
like,
a gem for those who want a couple who don't know.
But we
we'll
took
get that. We'll get down that later.
Yeah, I'll hit that in a second. Go ahead.
We took it to the extent of getting the shit notarized.
Oh yeah,
like, we had a lawyer review it and, like, notarize it, and, like, we, like, signed this.
And it's wild too. Even the lawyer advocated for her. He was like, hey, if you're putting any money down, like, on this property, he's like, just know, like, that money's gone, right? and she was just like, yeah, I know, like let's do this. She was like, you're gonna sign it or what, right? It's like,
I'm like, let's get to it.
Yeah. So like, that's the mindset we had. Is like, we were building a 30-40 year business together.
Yeah, we have a lot of.
Yeah, it was really cool to, like, even have that. Like you said, it's funny even hearing you say it. Like, it was just something that was so ingrained in us. Like, we never really acknowledged that.
Yeah.
Like I came to that realization just now.
I think we have like we keep talking about trust. We have a tremendous amount of trust, but like we're not stupid. We're always going to protect my individual self and his individual self.
That's one thing we do in our relationship. We value individuality very hard.
Yeah.
And there's time where, I pick up, she's at 20% or 10%. I pick up the rest or vice versa, right? Like she'll see that I'm tied up with more tasks to do on the realtor side or whatever. She'll go and take the incentive of hitting up a contractor or, a carpenter to basically relieve some of the like responsibilities off of me.
So we have our set roles and responsibilities, but it's a 2-man show.
Yeah.
So if one person's down, someone else has got to hop in and help.
Yeah.
So we're really good at that.
So how do you guys manage conflicts though? What's the strategy? Since we're in that topic, in that lane, how do you guys manage the aspect of trying to avoid any form of conflict with one another?
You're never going to avoid conflict when you're in business with your significant other.
Gotcha.
Like, let's get that straight out. There's gonna be conflict.
Yeah.
Well, I think the sooner you recognize that and you just accept it for what it is, you can just move on and figure out how are you gonna, I can't avoid the conflict, but how am I gonna mitigate or resolve it quicker? How are we gonna be efficient about this conflict?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna happen.
Yep.
So for us, I think Jaston gave a good little tidbit earlier. We are really good at saying you're gonna get business Alexia right now. And just my tone, my tone and the way I deliver things, if he knows I'm in that mindset, that right there is already going to mitigate that conflict. Because if he's thinking I'm speaking to him from girlfriend Alexia with that tone, obviously it's going to be you're going to receive that differently.
Yeah.
So that's one way. What's another way?
We're actually really conscious of that too. Like we've gone to the extent of saying it out loud. But another thing that really helps us out is, segmenting time, right?
Yeah.
So for example, just to give a little insight of kind of how we operate, we have a daily call Monday through Friday that we call each other for 30 minutes. And we iron it out. So as I mentioned,
iron what out? Your issues or the business?
Oh,
business.
So the business. So instead of going back and forth, and it took us some time to figure this out.
Yeah.
Instead of us going back and forth and texting all day, we just laser focus it to a 30-minute conversation. And I think I might have mentioned this already, but Alexia and I still have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So, she's working 40 hours a week from home. I'm working 40 hours a week on site, or I'm required to travel, part of my position. So we do it literally on our lunch break. We laser focus that communication for the day. Like, hey, listen, this is what I need from you. Hey, Jaston, this is what I need from you. Lex, I need you to hit X, Y, and Z. When I get out of work, I'm going to be heading to this property, banging out that for this tenant, etc. We do that in that 30-minute conversation.
Wow.
And then we sit down approximately 2 to 3 hours, typically on a Sunday or on a weekend, and we dive deep into usually that first hour would be okay, what does the portfolio need, right? Do we need to do X, Y, and Z repair at that house over there? Let's review our expenses, our income, what is that looking like? And then the other kind of portion of that meeting would be preparing for the following week, and then also acquisitions. So that's another role. So Alexia kind of already dove into our roles in general, but that's another way. That's another task that I own is basically our acquisitions. So I'm trying to, I hold my real estate license out of us. So I'm diving into the MLS, seeing where there's investment opportunities there. I'm chasing and, hunting to see for more buyers to help or more sellers to, listings and all that. That way we can get more capital to feed our machine, right? Because at the end of the day, that's the goal, is to basically build up a portfolio where we're financially free.
Facts.
Right? So that's priority number one for us. And earlier I mentioned we're basically building two businesses, right? So we're building our portfolio, and then simultaneously we're leveraging the same skills, same experience, and the same connections that we're doing to build that portfolio to actually help our network literally do the same thing. So we're having we're helping people because again, we're young. You're Alexia's 26, I'm 27. So we're in a very unique position where a lot of the people around us, we're influencing them and we're inspiring them to buy houses and to do these things. I can't tell you how many DMs we get in a day, like, hey, I need help doing this, or like, hey, I want to pick your brain with that.
Yeah.
It's like overwhelming. And that's honestly what led us to start our Instagram, is because people were on our personal IGs just going crazy. Like, Jaston, you're crawling around in the attic. What are you doing up there? like
Lex, how do I write a lease?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So
we're like, all right, just funnel all your questions.
Yeah, to the like we did
pretty Instagram.
Yeah,
That's
we honestly
crazy.
did it like for our own sanity. Like we were getting we were getting so much love.
Yeah.
So now we're leveraging all the, like I said, all the experiences and all the good stuff that we're learning investing, and now we're able to help younger individuals in our network that are like, they want to do that step. And honestly, that's probably the most rewarding thing.
For sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Is no important for you guys? The word no.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We are so intentional with our time.
Yeah.
That's our favorite word, intentional.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's been like the word of 2023, I feel, for us.
Yeah. That and no, honestly.
Yeah.
That and no.
We'll say no to family. We'll say no to friends. We'll say no to each other. We'll say no to business opportunities that don't make sense for us.
Yeah.
We'll say no to tenants. We'll say no to anybody, as long as it keeps us sane.
Yeah.
I think we have a really clear idea of the path that we need to go down. And if that opportunity or whatever someone presents us with, if it's going to sway us off that path, we're quick to say no.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because a lot of people don't know how to say no.
Yeah.
And just being able to say no, that's a powerful tool or powerful word in its own right.
It is.
And if you could utilize saying no, you're golden. You know what I mean? Jaston, apart from real estate, you have an online retail store. Can you explain what it is, and if possible, how it contributes to, if it does fund the real estate career path that you guys have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say this. I have, prior to me starting my online business, which I'll dive into, I had no background in entrepreneurship or anything like that. I had no influence from my family. My family, I come from a really hardworking family. Like, like my mom was working in retail for years before she became disabled. Yeah. So she just, like, I come from a place where I've just always seen hard work, right? My business is Got Sold 401. It's a reselling website. I made it structured off of pre-orders, right? So let's say if a pair of Jordans or Yeezys or whatever were dropping on Saturday, I would basically open up pre-orders like on that Monday and have that whole week, and I'll push out to my network, hey, listen, like, this is, I'm securing these shoes for this price. If you want them, let me know, like, I'll get you. So I was building up capital before even release day. And then I just built up really good systems and really, really good connections, like Alexia was saying, with other people in the space, where I was securing that shoe for well under what the consumer would go and buy it for. So that was honestly how I came up and, scraped together a lot of the money for our projects, on my side at least. So, that was down payment money. Like, in my mind, if I sold 300 Jordans, right, and that gets me that one down payment, and then we go and buy a property together, those 300 Jordans is now paying me on a monthly basis. You see what I'm saying? Because I've always kind of like that's just how my brain always worked. So, yeah, it's been a great experience, and now I'm so thankful because I've been, I'm on the books with that, right? And from the beginning, I knew that I had to make that income visible, because the goal of it was to have it be a way to get pre-approved for more houses. And I think that's something that, I can really give a piece of knowledge to people, is like, if you have a business or a place or a position where you're making income off of something, you have to show that you're making that income. Why? Because you become lendable, right? And that's the name of the game, right? Like, everybody's playing the same game. It's like you need somebody in the beginning. You need to leverage somebody else's money to make more money, right? So if you show that you're actually making money, which I did over the last 4 years, now I become more lendable. And it even opens up more opportunities for us, like from an SBA standpoint, because now we can go and hunt for a commercial building or whatever via SBA loans, and like that's 10% or 5% on a building as compared to 20%. We just saved, like we would save 10 or 15% on a down payment for that.
Jeez.
And that's just owning a business and showing that you're making money on your tax returns.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that's a big piece that it's really played in the swing of things.
I think so just to piggyback off what Jaston was talking about, the best way to work it, if you're running a business, the best way you should try to do it is actually not even the best. What you should do is open under LLC, plain and simple. And if you're looking, and this is me talking from a realtor standpoint, if you're looking to use that money, right, you need to be that business has to be in operation for at least 2 years and show income for 2 years, before the lenders can either consider that as income coming in for you to be able to apply and to apply to your mortgage, not to your mortgage, but to your lending process. So they could be able to factor that in, so you could be able to purchase a house. So just keep that in mind in regards to it. Did you both have mentors to assist you during the process of buying your first property, or did you guys just did it all on your own? Because I believe in mentors. I don't have a mentor myself, but I highly believe in mentors. Did you guys have anybody that you got that mentored you?
We did. So prior to getting our first house, we joined a local REIA. And in that we attended a webinar.
What's a REIA?
Like a a real estate association. So real estate investment association. Nice. So the one that we're a part of is Rhode Island Real Estate Investors Group. So many knowledgeable people that we've met. And we joined a random like webinar one night. And I was like, I'm just going to learn more, right? I'm going to hop on my laptop. I'm not expecting much out of it. Like, I'm just going to see what happens. There we met our realtor. And he became one of our biggest mentors, still to this day. You know, if we need anything, he'll be willing to answer the phone for us and just give us a little bit of information if we need it. So he was really one of our big mentors when it came to buying a multifamily house and how to house hack. But when it came to really like, after we bought the house, kind of like we were on our own. Literally, like when we closed on the house, we went to the house, right? Because you're excited. And we were like, cool, now what? Like we had no game plans. None. And so I think that night we went home. I think we just cleaned that day.
Well, you went home.
Yeah. He had no home. Well, we can laugh about it now. Then back then it was not funny.
Back to the hotel room.
We literally had 1 week because where he was currently living, he had to be out of the house in 1 week we closed on the 4th of September, 2020. 1 week from that day, Jaston had to be out of where he was currently living. So we buy value add properties that are not pretty, and we make them pretty. And so this house wasn't livable. And so we only had a week to make this really nice, and we had no game plan. So I went home that night.
No connections with anybody. We were the turnover crew.
Right. So I went home that night, and my dad, as I told you, he is a huge mentor to us. And he's like, hey, how'd it go? How'd the closing go? I'm like, cool. And I think he could just see it on my face that we were way in over our head. We had no idea what we were doing. The next day, he literally came with all of his tools, my whole family. He brought everyone in. Everyone came. Some of Jaston's family came, our friends, our closest friends.
That's amazing.
And they helped us paint. They helped us do the flooring. They helped us do light fixtures, everything within a week.
That's amazing. Good thing that you brought that up. I want to transition into that.
Yeah.
Now, as you guys are buying your investment properties, how does repair work for you guys? Who does it, or who does the majority of the work, or do you guys do the work together, or do you guys hire out?
Yeah, so I'll take this one for sure. So the first property, we did one turnover. We did one turnover in the same apartment we still live in. We still house hack to this day. We make $300 off of that house living there. So like can't get better than that, right? The money that we would be spending on rent or a mortgage, we literally just stack up for the next down payment. So we're very intentional about that. But in the beginning, that first property was a 3-family in Pawtucket. We bought it FHA, first time home buyer. Again, that was under my name. We moved into the second floor, had no idea what was happening. Her father was a huge mentor and like kind of doing that work. So it was both of us in that first house. Then shortly after, probably about a year later, we went with Alexia. Again, first time, like that's the process. First time home buyer. down payment assistance, close on it, 4-unit and 1 socket.
You guys need to listen because he's dropping some stuff that can actually help you guys out if you guys are a couple. Listen up.
So and that actually plays into why we're not married. Because FHA wise, you essentially get granted 3 per person, right? The second that you get married, you're looked at as one person, so you basically cut those in half. So you go from 6. So you go from 6 to 3, right? So that is one of the reasons why that Alexia and I it's one of the reasons why Alexia and I haven't got married just yet. But again, when you got something authentic, you know what it is, right? So but that second property, 4-unit and 1 socket, bones are great. Like all the capital expenditures were good. Alexia actually went to the showing first. I didn't even see, like, sight unseen for me. And mind you, I'm a repair guy, right? So I trusted Alexia. She came back. She was like, "Dude, this is it. Like, this is the
came with
one."
my cute little analysis. It came with photos, and I was like, "This is why I think this is a great opportunity for us. Like, I'm gonna need you to trust me on this one." And he did. Put in our offer, and we got it.
We got it. So we bought a 4-unit. Again, this was probably in 2021.
Correct.
We bought a 4-unit out there for $360.
Wow.
So we bought it for
now
$360.
You try to buy a 4-unit now.
You're looking at $550 at least minimum, right?
Wow.
So to kind of tie back in again, the income that I made and stacked up from my online business, I was able to meet her halfway and like, hey, let's throw this money down. So that was the down payment money. That was a lot of the repair money. So the way that property really worked is at that point in time, I was full-time into my online business. So I left my W-2 at the time. We took over the property and I just got to work, man. I had no construction background whatsoever. For over the course of 3+ months, I was waking up, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Waking up.
Yeah, listen, she would tell you, man. It was honestly probably one of the most she's probably sick of me talking about it. Like, it was one of the most stressful times of I put on 10 pounds, bro. Like, it was the most stressful thing I've ever done because I had no construction background. I had no idea how to paint a wall. I had no idea how to do flooring, and I was just trusting the process, right? So I was waking up at like 6-7 o'clock. I was heading there for 8, and I wouldn't get back home until like 6-7 o'clock at night. Like, I was just there all day banging out work and learning as I was going. Like, there was times where I would YouTube like crazy stuff. I didn't even know how to vinyl like a floor. You should have saw one of the.
You were probably stressing her. You had to have been stressing her.
The tool, Sadiq, that he was using to try to accomplish something else.
Not working.
That a tool exists for.
No, like, I was working ass backwards, right? Like, when I took, but that's where we all started. Like, you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was trying to. So all right. One of the first units I did, right? We did everything. Like, we painted, we didn't have to touch the bathroom too much. I just literally had to paint, make it look nice. I'm like, all right, cool. Then it came down to, like, I painted the cabinets. I didn't have to do the countertop or anything. So I was like, all right, thank God. Right? But it came, like, the last thing we had to do to make this unit finish was the vinyl, like, was just the flooring in the kitchen. And it was like probably, I don't know, man, like 300 square feet, super small, right? If that. You can ask her for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, we had this floor undone, right? I went through every form of like grief, anger, bro. Like, this floor was kicking my ass. So I did like self-leveling floor because I wanted to tile, right? So to tie back in what Alexia was saying about mentors, we have one of her best friends, her father, like, just hardworking guy. He owns some investment properties. He knows exactly kind of like how to do all that. He taught me how to tile. So I was like, all right, I gotta go tile this floor, right? So like I bought all the tile. I brought it all to the 3rd floor. I'm talking like, man, like 30 plus boxes of tile. Mind you, that I'm doing all that. I get up there. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's tile this floor, right? I put down the tile. The way this floor was pitched, man, it was literally like this. And I was like, nah, there's no way that I can tile this floor. So for 2 weeks, I just figured it out. I got wood. I tried to shim things. Like, long story short, we ended up paying somebody to vinyl clip the floor.
So,
Right?
hold on, you went through all that process,
yeah, man,
just to pay somebody that.
just to pay somebody. So, but
I feel like that's a good lesson.
That's where we started, man. That's where we started.
Yeah, like you have to be willing to like figure it out yourself, right? Because we would have never known that if we didn't go through that. That we can't tile on uneven floor. That the reason that the house is literally indenting is because it settles over X amount of years. You know what I mean? So like we had to go through that to learn those things. Well, you had to go through that.
So that's how the second one looked. We basically fixed the whole thing up. We spent probably $18,000 on just materials. All right. So like
for all 4 units.
For all 4 units.
That's nothing.
And then so we ended up saving about 60,000, 50,000 in like contractor fees or whatever if we went with one. So long story short, we were all in this property like just under 4. Right? And like well under 4, probably like at 380 we were all in. And again, like that's our cash cow. That's one of the main properties that we are building our financial freedom off of.
Nice.
And that building has so much equity in it, but it's a cash flowing asset. So is, the first one that we live in, which is a 3, that 4 unit, that's kind of how that played out. And to the fast forward, the third one we got, so we're at 10 rentals right now.
Nice.
The third one we bought it straight investor savvy, hard money, private money for the down payment. We're totally out of like OPM, out of pocket, like other people's money when it comes to that one. That one, we paid a lot of contractors to kind of go in there and do everything. I was more of kind of like the closer, right? Like, if anything needed touch up and things like that, because I had that prior experience. But
well, it didn't start off that way though.
Tell the story. Let's go. Let's go. We gotta hear this.
Yeah, I got fired.
I had to fire him from the project.
Yeah. So she's the project manager. So she hit me with the Donald Trump, you're fired, you get out of here.
So I work from home, so I have the most flexibility out of us two. So naturally, like I was project managing this property, going to meet all the contractors, be in the site on like the eyes on scene, whatever. Jaston has a million things going on, and what I love about Jaston, he thinks he can do it all, but we only have 24 hours in a day. So on top of him being a realtor, on top of him having a sneaker business and working a full-time job, he thought that he could do this rehab. He thought that, Sadiq. So, sometimes, and this is a really good...
That's us guys, though. We told to do it all.
Right. And this is a really good piece of advice, too, for being in a relationship. Sometimes you need to let your partner learn their own lesson.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't good for us, right? I could preach to the choir, but I was preaching to the choir. He wasn't going to listen to me. No. No, he's like, no, I could do this, whatever. I said, weeks are going by. Mind you, we're losing money. Like,
it was a slow start for sure.
Right.
It was a slow start.
I mean, anybody knows anytime you're flipping a house or you're rehabbing a house and you don't have tenants in there, you're losing money at the end of the day, right? So, but I needed to let him learn that lesson that you genuinely don't have the time to do this. So it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to take you off the project and we're going to bring other people in.
She trumped your ass. She said you're fired.
Yeah, she did. Honestly, but it was the best thing.
It was the best thing.
It was the best thing because just to kind of circle back around, when we had that conversation, which I think it's great because you have to be open to basically like, hey, listen, this is what's best for both of us.
Yeah.
Right. So like you have to be understanding of criticism. You have to take that, right? But when we kind of did that, I ended up putting a lot more energy into becoming a realtor.
Yeah.
And like, man, things started booming kind of with that. Like I got 5 buyers. We're about to close on my second deal in like 20 days.
Nice.
And I have a few listings lined up, and this is all like money that's like pending that it would basically, like, if I was busy doing that, $30-$60 hour work, I would be losing out on $1,000 an hour, opportunities. So it's definitely the best thing that happened for us.
I think what she did was create, so she, from my understanding, you can let me know if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think what she actually does, from my understanding, Santa, is that she creates systems. I believe in systems. I love systems. I think systems itself flourish as a business.
Yeah.
And for her to realize time affects money and pulling you, subtracting you from that from the equation of doing some of that you shouldn't technically on that big of level of project shouldn't be
Right.
doing, and realizing you could utilize your time in other areas where it could be beneficial. I think that's definitely an important factor. That's considered scaling to me, understanding that
Right.
for the most part, and by being able to do that, I think that's very, very flawless, because at the end of the day, time is money, money's time.
sure.
We know that,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's the last thing we want to do
Yeah.
is lose money.
Right.
What are 3 important aspects that you guys believed couples should address before venturing into real estate investing together? I want you both to don't look at each other. I want both of you guys to answer this.
I feel like we've hit a lot on the
You can
whole
do 1.5.
Yeah. We'll split the last one. I feel like we talked a lot about the trust aspect. You need to have trust, like undeniable trust between you two.
Mhm.
But also don't be stupid, right? Like always have your own back. Always double check double check someone else's work. You can have trust, but don't be naive to the fact that nobody's gonna have your back the way that you do, right? What's the second thing that we would say?
When it comes to somebody starting out and wanting to invest in real estate with like their partner or even any business venture, yeah, the trust is big for sure. And it's simple. It's communication. Like you need to really, really talk things through.
Yeah.
And then you need to have, honestly, I mean, the great question you asked us earlier is like, how do you define those roles and expectations? Like that is it.
Yeah.
Like those 3 things, right? Trust, communication, and having clear boundaries with that
Yeah.
person. Like you have to like, and and honestly, that's any platonic,
Yeah.
romantic.
Yeah.
You need to have clear boundaries in a relationship, right? And we do that. I mean, just to circle it back into real estate, we do that with our tenants. We got business hours. You don't call us or text us unless something is on fire, leaking, or there's mold growing out, or like somebody is dying. Like that is the boundaries and the expectations that we establish with our tenants. If something is broken, you put in a photo into our property management software. We both get alerted immediately. Then on those 30-minute calls, that's when we're ironing out when am I going to go out there and correct that and address it. I do that repair. On that Sunday afternoon, we review that repair, that income, that expense.
Systems.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we do it. That's how we really do it, man. So but that took time.
That's trial and error.
Yeah, that took time.
Yeah.
Like
To figure out.
it took a lot of us going back and forth, like multiple phone calls. Like it took years to figure out what really worked for us.
Yeah.
Right.
So
wow, just to think about that, having tighten up loose ends or just tighten up things to be able to make it work for you guys. Just listen to you guys, to me, is like, damn, you guys really have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. To switch you off, how do you, in the current market that we're in right now, home prices are high. From a lot of things that I read on social media in regards to what people complain about and so forth. How do you guys manage conversations regarding rent being high and things of that nature?
Yeah. I can take this one because I'm usually the bearer of bad news since I'm the property manager. It's not really negotiable at the end of the day. I mean, I know that sounds so like I know that sounds like super straightforward and rude, like mean or whatever it might sound, but it is. And I don't drive the market rent, right? It's what we're going through as a society and inflation, and there's so many other things that drive it. And I have supporting, you know what I mean, comps that we use. So anytime that we raise a rent, we're always going to have that in the back as facts, right? We're raising your rent to X because these are the other comps in the area that support that. Something else we're really like conscious about though is like, yes, it's not negotiable, but we're also not going to wax you. We're also not going to like triple, double your rent, you know what I mean? And right when we take over a property, we're more than cognizant of the fact that this rent is insane in this market. And if we have a tenant that we know is a great tenant, right? For all other reasons besides them paying their rent, we would rather save that relationship with that tenant and raise it over time.
All right.
Because everybody knows the biggest killer of financial wealth and freedom in real estate is having a unit sit vacant.
Yeah.
So we would rather raise their rent slowly over time, keep them in there, and get something rather than nothing.
Yeah.
And I think to build off of that too, like we have a high standard when it comes to our units. We literally look each other in the eyes at the end of the rehab or the end of the turnover, and we'll be like, will we live here?
Do we feel comfortable living in this unit?
Do we feel comfortable living here? If it's no,
we got to go back to the drawing board.
We both check ourselves and be like, no, we got to do X, Y, and Z to make sure that that's the case. Again, because we're building a 30-year, 40-year business, right? And we're not going to touch something twice. If we're here doing it now, it's going to be now. But that high standard that we hold with our turnovers, it makes it very easy to get what it's worth.
Yeah.
So that's what plays into our rent increases.
As a property manager, how long do you expect when a tenant moves out, or when you guys look, how long what's that time period? Because you talk about vacancy.
Yeah.
I think this is important for those who's looking to buy multi-units and don't understand the importance of how vacancy could affect your bottom line. That's big. So how long do you guys expect to have a vacancy just sit?
Yeah.
How you guys trying to avoid that?
So when we're running the numbers on a property, we do 5% of the income per year. That's what we account for being vacant.
All right.
So I think that amounts to 1.22 per month.
All right.
I mean, 1.22 months out of the year that we expect for it to be vacant.
Yeah, so it's about like 2 months or so. I
Yeah.
mean, just to give you like a rough idea, depending on the income of the property, it could be anywhere from like $200 to $400 per month that we're saving.
Correct.
All right.
So we're accounting for that future expense.
Correct.
All right.
Because turnovers happen, right? Whether it's when you're taking the property on right away and you have to do that renovation, or whether a tenant is leaving. So we usually, depending on how big the project is, if it's a quick turnaround, just paint, clean, whatever, we want to be in and out in 2 weeks.
All right.
Yeah.
And then have 2 weeks to really go out there and prospect for a new tenant.
Gotcha.
So that's 1 month.
Right.
Now, if it's a bigger project, then you're probably thinking about 1 month for the rehab and about 2 weeks to look for a new tenant.
Gotcha.
So probably like 2 total, 3 max, depending on how the rehab.
And that's all calculated for
before we even buy a property.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
No, it's good to know.
To make sure that the property can, at the end of the day, still pay for itself.
Sustain itself. Exactly.
Correct,
Could you guys so the network is also about individuals coming onto a platform and sharing their real estate net worth, right? And one of the things I'm always clear about is that net worth doesn't mean money that you have in the bank. That's not what net worth is. Net worth is what you have circulating that's out there, right? That eventually you can liquidate one day. What's your current real estate net worth at this moment?
So we have 10 rentals, 3 buildings, 2 3 units, 4 2 3 units, 1 4 unit.
All right.
If we liquidated all of them, it'll be, the gross sales of those profits will probably be over $1 million, well over $1 million.
Nice. And I think that's one thing that you guys, the way you guys are going about it, and you guys setting yourself up for the future, like you guys are understanding the financials aspect of it, right? Because at the end of the day, right, the whole point is to be financially free.
Correct.
And being able to stop the process of creating financial freedom for yourself is important in today's day and age. And I think a lot of people don't understand the fact of like when you're doing this, you when you own a multi-unit family and you try and build something of financial freedom status for yourself, you have to look at the long term of it. And this is something that maybe the last few years I started realizing, right?
Yeah.
Because full transparency, I was the type that was for the longest time, and I think a lot of it was due to what I saw my parents go through with their multi-family home. That kind of turned me away from not wanting to own multi-family homes and stuff like that. And I told myself, I just buy a single family home, call it a day, because I saw that dark side, you know. And being a landlord, property manager, I'm a property manager myself.
Yeah.
It's no easy task. It's stressful. Tenants are stressful. Everything's stressful. Like it is what it is, but it's part of the job. And but I understand the importance of what it brings to you. It brings you financial
Right.
freedom. There's going to become a point in time where you want to liquidate everything, and you want to be able to, if you guys do get married and have kids, whatever that looks like for you guys in the future, you guys could be able to support that. You know what I mean? And just for you guys to be able to start set yourself up right now, I think that's dope in its own own way. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Are there any other properties that you guys are currently planning to purchase in the near future?
Yeah, we want all of them.
Love the response.
Yeah,
Love the response.
Yeah, we're in a position where we're in a really good spot right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like
Nice.
like I said, we're building basically two businesses at once right now. And yeah, we're trying to pump up our portfolio. So our goal going into 2023 was to essentially add to basically double our portfolio. So at the point in time before we went into 2023, we had 7 units, 1 3, 1 4 unit. So we were like, nah, like let's double this. Let's get to 14. So we're at 10 currently. We still have 2 months left in just a few more months left in 2023. We're in a position where we're essentially building the snowball, right? We're pulling the equity out of our current buildings to go and buy more. So we're gonna make some shifts on our side, but very shortly, we will be able to go buy another project and get that squared away. Hopefully before the year. Well, I know before the year's
There you
out,
go.
we will have another project, whether it's another 3 or whether it's another 4. But yeah, right now we're shooting for another 4.
Yeah.
If not more. Honestly, we were just eyeing like a 12-unit building that we were working with somebody on.
Oh, sure. Wow.
So, I mean, that would be crazy.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, we're very grateful that we have our properties and the equity that's in them to go and put a down payment on something like that. And it's just crazy for us even having the conversation that we're gonna go buy a 12-unit building.
Do you guys only want to do multi-units, or are you guys open to well, obviously you're ready to do multi-units. Are you guys open to singles, condos as part of your real estate portfolio, or is it just easy for you guys to just buy multi-units?
I think we've been comfortable with multifamily units.
Yeah.
Because our whole strategy when we got into this was we want to get 3 FHAs under me, 3 FHAs under him. I think obviously you learn really quickly. Like when you get that first FHA, it's not as easy to refinance out of that FHA and use that FHA again.
Well, I think where the market was, it made it very tough for us to want to refinance out of our properties.
Well, yeah, right.
Because we had 3% interest on both of the, like that 4 and that 3 unit.
Wow.
So it's like
we didn't want to trade that in for the.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either.
Right.
I don't think
sense.
that's the problem nowadays. Right now, nobody's trying to sell their home.
Yeah, the locked in effect.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
So I get it. Who's gonna want to switch for a 3 to a 7?
7. It doesn't make sense.
But we really wait that for a while.
We waited for a sec. Yeah.
We're like, do we take on a 7%? Because this was our game plan, right? To be able to get into another 3, 2, 1 unit, whatever it is, because you have to go down. With an FHA. But then we were like, no, we just need to pivot a little bit until we're able to hit that back up again. So we're 100% open to single families, condos. Have we done it yet? No. Do we plan on doing it in the future? For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, so how do you guys handle your financial reporting for investment properties? Do you guys use an accountant, or do you guys just handle all that on your own?
So I mainly handle that on my own. And I'm literally like old school. I just put all of it into Excel. I'm like an Excel guru. I love Excel. But when it comes to the end of the year and it comes to filing our taxes, we 100% use an accountant.
Pass that over.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for you to find people in those positions that actually do what you do.
Yeah.
So for, no shade at all, but for a little while, like we were going to like a family friend for our taxes, and the discount was great. Family friend discount was definitely dope. But then it got
I know exactly where you're going, because I do agree with you on Jaston on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like it got to a point where like it was dope, it was good, but then we realized that that few $100s that we were saving per tax return actually was not worth it. And it came to it was tough. Like Alexia basically was put in a position where she had to owe like back tax. Like it was rough.
Just because someone wasn't catering our taxes to the way that we needed it to be catered. We had houses under our names and we weren't taking advantage of all the different things you can take advantage of. And we didn't know any better, so we were relying on our accountant, but he didn't know any better either.
So now we have a very tax,
Savvy.
investor savvy accountant who's actually a broker himself. Like he owns a brokerage. And it's going great. It's going well. Definitely a lot more expensive, but in the meantime, like in the results we're seeing, it's completely night and day.
Do you guys write off? How much stuff do you guys write off as real estate investors?
Anything and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Jaston's a little bit better at it than me, to be completely honest.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, like again, like those meetings that we're having on the weekends, like that's all evidence that we sit down at the end and provide to our accountant to take care of stuff. But I come with the perspective that again, we're building a long-term thing. So sometimes I mean, some people might not want to hear this, but sometimes it makes sense to write stuff off, and sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on what your goals are. For example, with my sneaker business, my goal was to look lendable, right? I'm not saying, don't lie to the government or whatever. I'm just saying that there's certain things that you will do to look more lendable. There's certain things that you will not write off, or certain things that you would choose to write off, or certain things that you would choose to eat. You know what I mean? If that's the goal. Now, if the goal is to defer taxes, hey,
then that's one thing.
Hey, that's another thing, right? Then everything gets written off, right?
Facts.
So,
and I think that comes with individuals that your sneaker business is a cash earning business, and goes for and a lot of people in our community, right, that we grew up and don't understand the importance. One day,
correct,
you're gonna want some form of lending.
Yeah.
So trying to write off as little as possible, is not really gonna be worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
Especially if you're smart enough to think about the long term aspect of your future. If you think of it, I don't care if you're a barber, I don't care if you're a stripper, I don't care what you do. If you're a cash earning business, think about the long term goal, and put that under LLC. I'm being honest. I understand. I know the game. This is actual factual stuff. If you're a cash earner, and think about especially if you try and get landing of some sort, you need to take those right steps, and you don't write off less. Try, because you want to show that you earn more,
right?
Because the more you show, the more earnings you have, the more the approval amount could be for you, and
the more you're lendable.
And the more you're lendable.
So just to give you more insight, and I'll use round numbers. Over the last 4 years with my sneaker business, I've probably paid somewhere close to $10,000 in taxes. So that $10,000, or however that, whatever that figure is, it's made me so lendable now. And it's funny because I haven't even pulled the trigger on this move just yet. But I just got off the phone with, I think it was Chase Bank or something like that. Gave them my information, gave them round numbers of kind of what that business was earning. And they told me that basically they would lend up to 30% of whatever my gross sales were. So it's like that $10,000 or that $9,000 basically sixfold.
Yeah.
Right. So that in itself is an investment. So now you take those funds, right? Yes, you're paying the interest on it. Yes, it's a business loan, but now you can go and put that back into your business and get a return on that, or put it into, something else that makes sense. Go put a down payment on a commercial property so your business can be housed there.
Yeah.
A great example of what you said, Sadiq, our hard money lender, she was telling us a story of someone came to her and she had a job on OF and she made triple what I made. Yeah. But my hard money lender could not lend to her because she had no proof. It wasn't on paper.
Exactly.
Correct.
So that just goes to your point of you just want to have it on proof.
Yeah. It's invisible.
Yeah.
It's invisible unless if you're paying the government on that money. Yeah, it sucks, but at the end of the day,
it's going to be
well worth it.
Yes.
Well worth it.
It's
because you're looking at it with, again, that long-term mindset, and that is priceless in itself.
Yeah. Let's talk about secrets to the game. What is a reasonable target a landlord should be earning rental income per unit?
Yeah. I think for us, when we first started, we always tell everyone, before you buy or before you start to look into it, build your criteria, right? What does that look like? How much do you want to earn per unit? Like you're just asking me, where do you want to buy? What type of investment do you want to get into? Buy and hold, flipping, wholesaling, whatever it is. When we first built it out, we knew multifamily, we knew in Pawtucket and Woonsocket. We were comfortable with those two areas. The $100 per unit, which is what we initially came, up with, we literally just grabbed that from Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, that was straight from the podcast.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna let it stop us. We were like, listen, like, all right, that's the criteria we got to hit. All right, cool. On to the next thing.
We were cool with that, right? Because at the end of the day, we just needed somewhere to live.
Yeah.
So making $100 per door sounded cool to us, sounded sweet.
Yeah.
Obviously, we just kept getting better and better, where we make way more than $100 per door.
Amazing.
On our current properties.
Amazing. And I think the $100 per door, I think that's
pretty standard.
Two things. Well, I think it's, to me, I feel like it's a little older notion. It's like, and the reason why I say that is because prices of homes are
way different.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the margin that an investor, unless you snatch up a good deal, but I think the margin that investors can earn per unit is a little slimmer than what.
It's very correct.
Than what it was before, and that's from hearing from a bunch of other individual owns a bunch of investment properties.
Yeah, even on the wholesaling side, like just to like jump around a little bit, like before, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, we were seeing deals getting shot out at 70%, ARV, right, all day, rehab included. That wholesalers, wholesale fee tied into that. Now we're seeing stuff getting shot at 75, 80, right? So it's like everything's kind of getting a little bit slimmer across the board because of the inflation, because of the interest, because of the house prices, right? So house prices are going up. It does not mean that investors are making more money necessarily.
Exactly.
Maybe the realtors, but
even with that being said, but that's a lot.
That's another podcast for another time.
That's another podcast. Do you guys? So I already know you guys. I know that you guys manage your own properties, but do you eventually, will you like, Alexia, to get away from managing your own property one day, or do you want to continue managing it and having control over it?
I want nothing more than to get this off my hands. I enjoy it. I like it, but it's very time consuming.
I know your pain. I know. So
it's hard. I think it's funny because we joke around a lot. Like Jaston does a lot more of the glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
He makes things look pretty. He gets the network, and I'm just in the back, dealing with these tenants,
dealing with the issues. Oh my God.
My brain is like fully always on. No, I'm good at it, so it's fine for now, right? I think when we get to a point where one of us can quit our jobs and we can start looking into that. Again, we run all of our properties so that we have property management already baked in.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if we wanted to, we could already afford that, but we would just lose out on the cash flow.
Why not just keep it and just hire somebody to help you guys out?
So that's crossed our path. That's crossed our minds too.
Interesting.
I think that it's just more so,
especially if you already have the system in place.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It definitely does make sense. Like, and for us, we're just not like,
we're not
it's just unfinished business.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like we got more in us.
Yeah.
We have certain goals we want to hit, and honestly, I think our portfolio isn't to a point where we even want to consider that just yet. But once it does, once the unit counts get to where we want, once the income from the portfolio gets to where we want,
right?
Then
more important,
and then like Alexia said, once probably one of us leave our job, then we're gonna start scaling. Probably you're gonna see like an exponential kind of compounding side of kind of our work and what our path is going to look like, because again, once we're both burning 80 hours a week in our full-time job,
and we're aware of that, and I think a lot of people bring it up to us like, well, why do you both still work full-time?
I actually enjoy my job.
We like what we do. This is genuinely
I actually enjoy my job.
And I love what I do. I'm in marketing and I work from home and I have great flexibility. I work for a university and they're paying for me to get my master's in business administration for free. Like, real estate is very important to us and we take it very serious, and we're investors and we're entrepreneurs, but we have a life outside of that as well. And I think it's healthy for us right now, especially at this age. And I think we're comfortable with the amount that we're putting in and what it's giving us.
Correct.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
When reviewing your profit and loss statement, I'm not sure if this probably pertains to you. What financial aspects do you guys consider critical to monitor?
We actually hit that. So I would say
Okay.
definitely got to look into vacancies, and you have to look at value add situations. I know that's kind of like drifting
Meaning?
away. I know that's kind of like drifting away a little bit from the question, but like this is kind of where like I really step into our business is like I'm always looking for other ways to value add, right? For example, this morning I wake up, I like roll over and look at her. I'm like, when we move out of this house, we got to make this double parlor into a third bedroom. So I'm
Damn.
like,
So you already
so
think
I'm
like
like,
that.
yeah, like it's not gonna look as nice, but like,
And I'm like, it's too early.
yeah. So I'm like, but
I'm like, you better turn around.
but I'm like, that's gonna boost our cash flow. That's gonna boost our ARV.
Yeah.
And like, that's a no brainer at that point. Yeah, it's not gonna look nice, open concept. It's not gonna look beautiful, but use one of these parlors, make that into a bedroom, call it a day, get in, get out with
House
it.
hacking.
Correct, right? So that is something you really have to understand, and that takes a little while for you to kind of develop those value add situations. Like, for example, knowing that Rhode Island just passed an ADU law not too long ago for multifamilies, right? Like you have so it was singles prior. So it's singles only for a little while, but they just passed it just a few months ago where you can do an additional dwelling unit within a multifamily.
Interesting. I missed
Right.
that.
So it has to be within the structure of itself. So our third deal, us knowing that, us being educated on that, we went into it with a different perspective where probably most investors like didn't even account for that.
Yeah.
So we converted the third floor into an ADU. And we're still working with the city to make that happen. So if you can make sure your vacancy is low, and then if you can just value add as much as you possibly can on a property, can you convert a garage into a Airbnb? Like that's a type of things that will help you be very successful in this. Watch like
We just put that
squeezing out
for you.
anything. Yeah. So we just add that to our portfolio. So squeezing as much as you possibly can
to
out of our
earn
product. Yeah.
extra income. No, that's crazy. Is there anything else that you guys could do? Washing machines are great. Is a great one. A lot of people don't know about that. Was it Coin Op? I think it is.
Coin Op, yeah.
Coin Op Laundry. So if you guys could, if you're out there and you own investment property, definitely look into Coin Op laundry machines because that definitely could bring in cash. Is there other ways besides that and value adding with an additional unit? Is there other ways that you can actually profit?
Garages.
Garages are good. There's a million apps out there. Like let's say you have not all rental like properties probably have this, but there's like a pool app out there where you can literally rent out your pool for a day.
I heard
$500,
about that. I just
right?
heard about that this summer. That's wild.
So it even
That's dope.
it even gets deeper.
Yeah.
Instead of just the pool, now people like corporations, whatever, they're looking for just open spaces. Like, does your backyard look dope? Like in your rental property?
There's an app for spaces with dog owners. So if you have a
Yes.
backyard, someone could rent that out to just bring their dog to play in.
Wow.
So there's so many. It's more than just renting it out to a tenant at this point. Like your property is so valuable for so many other things.
Yeah. Just the space of it.
Yeah.
It gets really deep. But that ties it back into what we were just talking about earlier, which is like always consistently be learning and seeing where you can like continuously improve.
Nice. What three key? Actually, no, we're not even gonna go there. What how do you guys plan to expand and grow your real estate business for the future?
I think one of the strategies which we touched on a little bit was the FHA. We really want to knock those out. So when the time's right, we're going to go back to those and knock those out. We're going to get, for me, I started with the 4. So we're going to go right down the line, 3 and 2. Same for Jaston. We started with the 3. We're going to go 2 and 1.
All right.
I think another key avenue for us is the SBA loans, small business administration loans under Jaston's business. So we're definitely going to utilize that. And then we're just going to tap into the equity on our houses. We have so much equity in the 3 foundation houses that we just, started off with. So we're just going to take those HELOCs and put them to good use and put them as down payments, put them as rehabs towards properties, whatever we need to do.
How many doors do you guys see yourself owning? Do you guys have that number in mind yet?
We do have a number.
So we have
What's the
a
number? You want to share?
We say 100.
Yeah, we want to.
Solid.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
could definitely retire
Oh
on
yeah,
100.
probably.
That's solid.
Yeah, and we know that this will go as far as we want to take it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's just rinse and repeat. And if anything, it gets easier as you get larger.
Oh,
So you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I think for us, the number is important to know, right? I want to reach 100 units, but we're more after like, if I can reach X amount of dollars in 20 units,
correct.
I don't need the 100 units.
That's working smarter.
Yeah.
Not harder.
Yeah.
So we would rather start working smarter, not harder, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Something else I would add too is also, again, building up like more of the realtor side of things too, because it's just one hand washes the other.
Yeah.
A lot of the connections, a lot of the resources we have, it's like built to help people do what we are doing. So that's something else that we're kind of considering, is like firing through that avenue, building up, with those commissions based off of helping our network out, putting that money towards, building our portfolio.
Nice.
So
we're going to really get started in a lot of marketing moving forward.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure what that looks like quite yet. Yeah. There's a couple different avenues that we want to take, whether it be mailers, cold call, whatever it is. Right now, our personal network is killing it. Like referrals for us right now, and just personal network, like especially for Jaston's side of
busy,
things.
man. I'm busy, man. Yeah.
So we're going to tap into that as much as possible. Continue building the Instagram, continue being authentic, right? Because at the end of the day, like I told you, this is fun for us. And the minute that it's not fun, we don't want to do it. And I think people can read that from us. At least I hope so. And yeah, so I think that coupled with those other strategies, or you can see a lot of that coming from us moving forward.
What does success look like for Married at Two?
This is so cliche.
Individual.
Yes. Success for me is literally just loving what I do and being happy.
Nice.
That's success for me. And I feel like you're gonna have the same answer.
So the way I view
response.
The way I view success is when you wake up, like, are you genuinely excited to do what you do for the day? Like everything, like, because I can only talk from my experience. When I wake up in the morning, I'm stressed. Like the day like the second I open my eyes, like I got tasks and things that I got to bang out. But everything I touch in that day, every person I talk to in that day, I genuinely enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's how I define success, is like whatever you're doing on the day to day. Do you feel fulfilled, right? Do you feel like you're chasing? I like to call it chasing a ghost.
Yeah.
So basically chasing perfection, right? You never will catch the ghost. You never will get that perfection. However, just being in the process of it is a big thing. So that's just personally how I
and now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more too, it's just inspiring others. Like
Definitely.
for Marry the Two, success would be to inspire others and bring everyone else up with us. We're literally helping some of our best friends right now buy real estate. And we know what that's done for us. So to see it do that for them as well is so fulfilling, so rewarding, more than any amount of money in our pocket at the moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. If anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, ask you guys for questions, or just give more in-depth information, advice, whatever that looks like for that individual to learn, how would they get a hold of you, get in contact with you guys?
Yeah, so our Instagram is Marry the Two, MARRYTHETWO, and I almost spelled that wrong.
I know.
TWO.
Yeah, right.
And my personal IG is Alexia Cosme, ALEXIACOSME.
And then my Instagram is Soul Investor. A little bit of play on like soul entrepreneur, soul of a sneaker. Kind of how it goes. So that's SOLE Investor. And then also I'll even give my personal number out, because I'm so in tune with kind of like what we're doing, that I know that we have game to share, and I know that we can help somebody along the way. So my own personal number is 401-345-0715. So if anybody's interested in connecting with Alexia and I, you could definitely shoot us a text. And yeah, we'd love to connect with you.
Yeah.
Love it. And you guys know what it is. It's your boy Sadiq, and this is the network where we create value for you guys, you know. And if this is something that you guys enjoy, please like, follow, and share, you know, because there are individuals you might know somebody, you know, that's looking for information that was just shared on today's podcast episode. And just knowing that, you know, having something like this, a platform where you guys could at least understand the story of how individuals became what they are today, you know, could actually maybe help you out, you know, or amplify you to be able to get up and do the thing that you need to do, you know, just so you could get ahead in life as well. And you guys know already, if you guys ever want to get a hold of me, or, you know, ask me for advice, or want me to connect you with those individuals, you guys can always find me everywhere. You know, my name's all over the place. Sadiq Davies, Sadiq Davies. My number's all over the platforms, you know, so I'm easy accessible. And then on top of that, check out the Network Podcast, which is pronounced network, but it's spelled NETWRK. You know, and yeah, definitely holla at your boys. Until next time, it's your boy Sadiq.
Awesome.
Catch you guys.